dads often have a focus on those kids growing up. Where moms are most often the most joyful time. Of course, they like to see their children grow up and become mature, but they love that little kid stage where dads want to see those kids move on to the next stage. Dads want to see their kids become mature. Is anybody a fan of Louis L'Amour? Do I got any Louis L'Amour readers in the room? Do you even know who this is, this guy? So this is one of the most, I think he probably is the most famous Western author, like the author of Western novels in history. He wrote a long time ago. Most of his novels were written in the mid-20th century, so you can be forgiven if you haven't read his novels. I started on a Louis L'Amour kick recently. It's all Western showdowns, right? It's tough guys with their guns, and they're shooting each other down in the street at high noon and this sort of stuff, okay? But I jumped in on this kick because actually an old friend of mine from a previous church, shout out to Grant Gwynn, worship pastor, he would read these all the time. And about 15 years ago, I said, I'm going to go on a Louis L'Amour kick one of these days. I'm going to read all his novels. He has like 100 novels or something. So I started on this kick over the past week. And in one of the novels, there's this moment. This is a great illustration of the feeling that many dads have. And I think this is the feeling God has as well as he looks down at us. There's this moment where this dad, the son is coming home from a battle, actually, from doing something really, really intense. It's in the book Bannon. I won't spoil it for you because I know you guys are all going to go read it right after this. He comes home and he's survived. And it's actually quite amazing that he's there at all. And the dad, who's in his rocking chair on the porch, doesn't say much at first. And then he just looks up at his son and he says, "It's good to know I have a man for a son." His son has become mature. His son has reached the point where he's able to handle himself and all these dangerous things of life. This life is dangerous. It's risky. And his son has reached maturity in some sense. He could handle these things. I'll tell you, I had this same experience. I will embarrass my kids a little bit right here. My two oldest sons recently drove back to British Columbia from Florida in their Jeep, which has got no air conditioning and is not much of a cross-country road trip vehicle. And they did that drive with no problems at all. They managed all the, where should they go, where should they not go. They managed all the where they're going to stay. They managed keeping the Jeep running. And I had this kind of a feeling when they got home. It's good to know that I've got two men for sons. That's a good feeling. When God looks down on us, he is looking, and this isn't just about sons. Remember, this is about all of us. God is looking for maturity. Of course, he wants us to come to faith. Faith in our lives, the purpose of faith is that we would then grow to become like Christ, like Jesus was, but in our own particular way, we would grow to become the people we were made to be. The people that God envisioned that we would be before he even made the world. Before the world was made at all, before there was a universe or outer space or an earth, God had you in his mind. Yes, he can hold everything in his mind at once. And he knew what he wanted to accomplish through you and what an astonishing gift to the world he wanted to give through you. That's what he made you for. Here's Colossians 1:28 and 29. We read this before a couple of weeks ago. He is the one we proclaim. Jesus is the one we proclaim, admonishing and teaching everyone with all wisdom so that we may present everyone fully mature in Christ. And this is the goal. This is what really changes the world. Not just people who have said yes to Jesus, but people who become not perfect. No one ever becomes perfect in this life, but significantly changed to become like Jesus. Mature. When we do that, when that happens, then God can use us actually to reach the rest of the world. This is his plan. And to this end, this is what Paul is saying to the Colossians, to this end, that you guys would become mature, I strenuously contend with all the energy Christ so powerfully works in me. In this book of Colossians, the words that Paul chooses to use, they are fighting words. He goes to battle, and he doesn't mean a physical battle. He's not talking about an actual showdown at the OK Corral or at high noon, but he's talking about going to battle with spiritual powers, going to battle in prayer, going to battle with wrong ideas that people have. So, dads, a message to dads in the room, this is what you got to do. You got to battle for your children's maturity. And like Paul, you've got to fight with the energy that Christ gives, not just your own energy.